Thing is with this, I'm not going to
He's been
sit
playing
here and
all those
say
less minutes.
I'm not going to sit here and say it's a Laker conspiracy. Sometimes it's not just sometimes we have to understand that it's just plain stupidity on why things happen. It has nothing to do with a conspiracy. You have any idea how hard it is to have a conspiracy where you have to rig a game from a league? A league will say, "Hey, protect this guy a little bit." Okay, I get that. But to actually devise a plan to set something up would be impossible because someone would have ratted somebody out by now from years ago, especially. No one, people are not, they're about their own self interest. And if there's some kind of scam going on and they end up, the perfect example is the Houston Astros situation. A former player. How about Eric Mangini? Eric Mangini is what got Belichick in trouble and the Patriots with Spygate. Guys are going to rat on each other if something's really going on. That's my way of deflecting the conspiracy theory type stuff. However, these voters that vote for especially in the NBA, especially the NBA voters, they are generally in the Mideast, around Ohio, and the Northeast. Those areas despise the Lakers. And you're not going to be able to convince me based off the evidence that I've seen in terms of when and how these players have won MVPs. It is an embarrassment for me to look at the only way that these guys have become MVPs since the writers were responsible for voting. You have never elected a NBA MVP to a Laker who wasn't a 1 seed. That to me is malpractice in a lot of ways, because Kobe Bryant was the number 1 player in 2006, 2008, 2009, and 2010. And by the way, he was a 1 seed in each one of those areas too, by the way. And you still didn't vote for him. Shaq was robbed in 01 and 02. They were all robbed. Kobe should have had 4 MVPs. Shaq should have had 3 straight MVPs. And I would argue that all day. I don't care what AI did in 2001. AI can be as phenomenal as he wants to be, but he's never in any dimension or any 2D, 3D, or 4D world that anyone lives in was never more valuable than Shaq in 2001.
Yeah.
And 2002 when he was allegedly 415 pounds. I watched how he played. Shaq in 2000 to 2002 was the greatest force basketball has ever seen. Bigger than Wilt, and I know I haven't seen Wilt play, but I just don't see how Wilt could have been able to handle Shaq. I think Shaq could have done as best as he could, but maybe he gets off on him because just like how Hakeem kind of went at him. But there was a lot of factors in that. I think there was more of a mental thing with Shaq at that time when he was a little younger. But in the end, Laker fans have to accept that Luka will never probably be a multiple MVP with the Lakers. He may win one, but I'm starting to get a feeling that these assholes are not going to ever give him an MVP unless they absolutely have to.
Joe, you know what it is? We're Laker fans, Joe. They love to hate on the Lakers.
It's beyond that. It's beyond that.
I know it's beyond that. I know it's beyond the hate. But what I'm saying though, Joe, is like you have to make yourself absolutely undeniably the MVP, because again, Joe, like if we take a step back, not even as Laker fans, if we take a step back and look at the MVP ladder, there's nobody that is actually bringing the same amount of value, which is literally what the definition of the term is, most valuable player. There's nobody that is bringing more value to their team than Luka Doncic. Take Luka out of this team is a playing team. And again, like when you look at the fact that, like how Gerald said, like LeBron has played more minutes than Wemby, but Wemby is higher in the
Wemby's only trailing plus. If you're a believer in the plus minus, he is.
No, I don't believe in plus minus. I believe in being out there. When you can do something good if you're out there. Guess what? a 41-year-old is playing more than somebody that they have higher on the MVP ladder than Luka Doncic, the man that is leading the league in scoring and is literally the most valuable player for his team, keeping his team where he is. So again, Joe, the only reason why I say that they're hating is because, yes, I agree, it's deeper than that. But the only reason why I say it is because what more do I have to fucking do? Like, what more? You know, that's one.
Here's why I say this. No one hated Barry Bonds more than the media. They couldn't stand him. But he still won 7 MVPs. They still had to vote for him. They still had the integrity of the game ahead of what they felt about that man. You see what I'm saying?
Those video game numbers he was putting up, you just couldn't avoid it, Joe.
And even before then, Gerald, even before then, when he was winning with the Pirates in the first year, the man won MVPs in both phases of his career. We got to be honest there with what was going on, right? So he has a little bit of a leeway there. You can say, okay, he was doing it when he was a $190. He did it when he was 230. But in the end, Barry Bonds' talent was undeniable. And no matter how much of an a-hole he was, they still gave that man an MVP when he should have gotten an MVP. There were a couple of years there where, Terry Pendleton ended up winning an MVP when he probably should have been him. And then some have argued that Jeff Kent in 2000 shouldn't have won it. Barry should have won it. That's fine when you've won 7. But the fact that you've had 2 of the most dominant players of the 21st century in at the top of their game, they were champions with each other. They were champions without each other in a 10-year span, and you only gave them 2 MVPs. Shaq and Kobe owned the 2000 decade. They owned it. Not Tim Duncan. Shaq and Kobe did. They won 6 NBA championships together in that decade. With one together and not together. They won 6. They owned that decade. And you gave them 2 MVPs. And then this is the topper here. I'm not gonna get too angry here. I don't want to get angry. I'm very happy right now. It's been a very good evening. These Rachel Nichols, who
she's on Sports Illustrated.
There's like this lying piece of garbage says I'm not voting for Luka because he only plays one way. This two-faced liar voted for James Harden in 2018 to win the MVP.
Wow.
Someone on Lakers Ball said something today. It killed me. I was actually laughing pretty good when I read it. He goes, Luka's defense looks like Sidney Moncrief's defense compared to Harden. I would have never thought that, but I thought it was hilarious. I don't know if I'd go that way, but it made me laugh. For those of you who don't know who Sidney Moncrief is, he was winning. He was the one that was right when they started putting in the Defensive Player of the Year awards. He was winning them at the beginning, and he was a guard forward guy too, whom the award should go to more than a big. And I'm not going to get into the details on that, but that's just what I'm saying. Point is, you voted for the worst defender that's probably ever existed winning an MVP other than maybe Steve Nash. And you a-holes gave Steve Nash back-to-back MVPs.
That shit was crazy, huh?
So your tails, you're liars. You're liars. You're all liars. Why is the heat always on this side? Because when you deal with liars and you know they're lying, they need to be told they're liars. And it really, really sets the stage for so many things when you call those people out.